So let's jump into example 1. We want to find the standard form equation. So we're either going to use this equation or this equation depending on the orientation of the hyperbola, which we'll find out soon. And the only information that we're given is that the points for the foci are -1, 2, and 5, 2, and that the points for the vertices are 0, 2, and 4, 2. All right. So you might be able to figure out from this, from just the coordinates, right, that the y value is not changing and the x value is. All right. So think about that and maybe think about what that could mean. But if you aren't finding any connections to that, what I would encourage you to do is to draw this out, just sketch it out. It doesn't have to be anything perfect at all, but all you need to know is which formula we're using, and that's going to be based on the orientation of the graph. So let's go ahead and plot some of these points. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my vertices. So I have 0, 2, and then I have 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. All right, well, those are my vertices, right? My transverse axis should go through my vertices, and the transverse axis also goes through the branches. So this can only open left and right if these are the vertices. There's no way that I could open this up and this down. That would be pretty odd. Let me just go ahead and also draw out the points for the foci. So we have -1, 2, and then we have +5, 2. So here we go. We have something like this. This is not accurate because I'm deciding the width of my branches, and we'll actually be able to know what those widths are. But just for now, all I want you to see is that these branches are opening left and right. All right, so that means that the transverse axis is horizontal. That means we're going to use this version of our formula. All right, so what we need to do is we need to start plugging in for h, k, which is still the center. We need to plug in for a and b. All right, so h, k. Let's figure out what the center is. Well, the center is literally in the center, in the middle of the two vertices. So here we can see that the two vertices have a, well, if you measure the distance between them, it's a distance of 4. So if we cut that in half, it's 2. So what point is here in the middle? Well, I'll just go 2 units from each end, and we end up with the coordinate 2, 2. Right? That's the coordinate right here, 2, 2. Next, we need to figure out what A is and what B is. So remember that A is the distance from the center to the vertex. All right, we just figured that out. That's 2. B is the distance from the center to this other perpendicular axis that is imaginary right here, and we can't see that on the graph right now, so there has to be some other way for us to figure out what B is. And there is. There's some piece of information that we haven't used, and those are the foci. All right, so C is still the distance between the center and each focus. So if the distance from the center to the vertex is 2, well, the focus is just 1 more than that. So the distance from the center to the focus is a total of 3. So we are now going to use the formula to figure out, normally we would use this formula to find the focus, but we're going to kind of use it in a different way now because we have the value for the focus, we have the value for A, we're going to use it to figure out the value for B. So this is important, please write this down. There is a new formula for the focus. All right, so before, for an ellipse, we had c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Now, for the focus of a hyperbola, we have c squared equals a squared plus b squared. It is exactly the Pythagorean theorem. All right, so let's go ahead and use that information to figure out what b is, because then I can just plug it into my formula and I'll have my equation. So C is 3, A is 2, and B is what I don't know. So 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. Right, so we're going to subtract 4 on both sides. We get B squared equals 5. So I'm going to square root B equals radical 5. Remember, we're talking about a distance, so we're not going to take the negative value, we're going to take the positive. So radical 5. So now we have all the information that we need to write the formula. Remember, you have to know which formula to use. You could very well plug in H, K, A, and B into the wrong formula, and it wouldn't be your answer. So you have to be able to decipher between the two formulas, all right? So if it requires you drawing this out, then you need to do that. If you can be intuitive about it just by looking at the coordinates, then choose to do that, whatever works for you. All right, so let's go ahead and start plugging in. So x, h is 2, so we have minus 2. Remember that if it's positive here, it ends up being negative in the formula. A squared, so 2 squared is going to be 4 minus y minus k, so my k is 2, so this is going to look like y minus 2 in the formula. And b squared, so that's a square root of 5. Well, square root of 5 squared would be square root of 5 times square root of 5, which is square root of 25, which is 5. So we always want to simplify. Equals 1. And that is the equation for this hyperbola.